Daniel Sports Central, we go over an NFL game preview and prediction on the NFC Championship matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. After outstanding seasons for both teams, it all comes down to this: a Super Bowl appearance on the line. The 49ers are taking on the Eagles. The 49ers, this is a team that was 3-4 at one point this season. They have won 12 straight to get to this point, and they've got a chance to head to the Super Bowl as they take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have been the top team in the NFC for the majority of the season, and they're nothing short of an outstanding team. And for them, they've got a chance to be in their first Super Bowl since the 2017-2018 season. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this match for today, starting with your team trends. The 49ers beat the Dallas Cowboys 19-12 in the divisional round. They were 15-4 overall heading into this matchup. They were 13-4 in the regular season, and once again, this is a team that's on a 12-game winning streak heading into this matchup. And I mean, considering the roller coaster of a season it's been between a few of the injuries for the 49ers, this was a team that was looking at Trey Lance as the starting quarterback heading into the season. Then he gets injured, and then Jimmy Garoppolo is in, which he's a more experienced quarterback than Trey Lance, even though Lance potentially is the higher ceiling. But then he gets injured, and so this team has been relying on Brock Purdy, the rookie that was the last pick in the 2022 NFL draft. And this team has been nothing short of outstanding down the stretch. Christian McCaffrey also being acquired during the season. A trade with the Carolina Panthers was also it was huge for this team. Just seeing this offense and how complete it is at this point in the season. Yeah, the 49ers are a complete team and very much capable to win the Super Bowl this season. But as for the Eagles, they knocked off the New York Giants 38-7. A dominant win for the Eagles there. And there were some questions for Philadelphia heading into the season, whether or not this team could make a long run, considering Jalen Hurts and his injury at the end of the season. And obviously this team was a bit bumpy down the stretch because of that. But the way this team played against the Giants on Saturday night, I mean, that was extremely impressive. And the Eagles are 15-3 overall heading into this matchup. And after that win against the Giants on Saturday night, yeah, I feel like Philadelphia is also a team that if they get in the Super Bowl, I could definitely see them winning it. So both teams, honestly, all of the four teams remaining could very easily win the Super Bowl. I mean, there are some years where it's like, okay, it's either going to be this team or one or two teams in particular that really stand out, but there's not a huge standout team in the conference championships this season. It could be anybody, and that's honestly, it just shows how awesome of a season it's been when you got a game that's very much a toss-up here between the 49ers and the Eagles for the NFC Championship. Games be on Sunday, January 29th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Eagles are the home team for this matchup, and the kickoff is 3 p.m. Eastern. So for Philadelphia, this is a team with a strong home field advantage in the playoffs especially. I mean, this is a brutal team to beat. And so, I mean, for the 49ers going on the road, it's going to be a difficult place to play, and the Eagles always show up. They're going to have a packed stadium, and it's going to be loud, I can guarantee you that. Spread's going with the Eagles by 1.5. That is the opening spread, so it's extremely close right now. We'll see how that adjusts over the course of the week, but as of right now, the Eagles are favored by 1.5. Over-under is 45.5, and the FPI is going with Philadelphia as well, 51.1%. Series history, the 49ers lead it 20-14. They won the last matchup and also 3 out of the past 5. So generally, it's been a pretty split series between these two teams. The last time they played was back in the earlier parts of the 2021 season. So it's been a little while since we last saw these two teams play each other. But if you look at recent history, San Francisco has had more success. But I will say this as well. If you look at the last 10 matchups, Philadelphia leads the series 7-3. So if you look back a little further, you will see that the Eagles have had success against the 49ers. Stat comparison, the Niners are 5th in points per game this season, and they're a brutal team defensively. They're the top team in the league when it comes to points allowed per game. They're 11th in pass yards games, 7th in rush yards, and then for yards allowed, they're 20th in pass defense, 2nd in rush defense. This is one of the top rushing defenses in the league. It's been that way all season, and obviously if you look at their points allowed per game, they are the top team in the league there. And offensively, they are 5th in points per game. This is an offense that has really come around down the stretch. I mean, despite the quarterback situation, they're relying on their third string quarterback who has really just played outstanding given, I mean, he really wasn't a big standout in the 2022 NFL draft. There was some uncertainty as whether or not he'd even get drafted from Iowa State. So, I mean, it's pretty impressive what this offense has done. Christian McCaffrey has had I think, a huge part in that. And I mean, you can see why. When you got as talented of a running back as Christian McCaffrey is in there, I mean, he's made a huge difference in this second half of this season. But for the Eagles, this team is, across the board, you could say, the better team statistically. They're third in points per game, 8th in points allowed. They're 9th in passers game, 5th in rush yards. A complete offensive team here. And then for the defensive side of the ball, they are the top passing defense in the country, or in the league, and they're 16th in rushing defense. So rush defense has been, you could say, the one main weak spot. Even though it's not even that much of a weak spot, they're still in the top half of the league statistically there. But when it comes to pass defense, they should have some success going up against Brock Purdy, and that's going to be the thing for Brock Purdy. It's going to be tough. I mean, he's not going to have, he's going to be pressured quite a bit. It's going to be tough for him to pass the ball, and this is a really strong defensive secondary here that the Eagles have. So it's something to keep in mind. It's a tough matchup for Brock Purdy. But, I mean, overall, when you got Christian McCaffrey there as well, I mean, that's how the 49ers can beat you offensively. I mean, it's like you already got such a talented receiving core, and with Deebo Samuel, you got George Kittle, the tight end. I mean, it's a complicated offense to cover, and when you got Christian McCaffrey in the backfield as well now, yeah, I mean, you'll see why the 49ers have had so much success down the stretch. But I will say this about the Eagles. You got Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. That's quite a duo there. And A.J. Brown, being acquired this past offseason, has done, I think, wonders for Philadelphia. He's been a huge addition to the receiving core, and him and Jalen Hurts are easily one of the best duos in the league when it comes to offensive play. And so, I mean, that is something to keep in mind. And for the 49ers here, for both teams, really, I feel like the team that forces the most turnovers very much should win this game. I mean, this is such a close matchup. I mean, it comes down to turnovers, and those big plays are going to make a big difference here. Recent matches, 49ers, they beat the Cowboys in the divisional 19-12, took care of the Seahawks in the wild card round 41-23, beat Arizona to finish out the regular season, beat the Raiders, and also beat the Commanders. So this team down the stretch, obviously winning 12 games in a row. Yeah, they're a very hot team right now. And as for Philadelphia, beat the Giants 38-7. Honestly, I feel like the Giants would definitely put up a better fight than they did, considering they literally played Philadelphia in Week 18 in the exact same place. And I was kind of worried that Philadelphia wasn't going to come out strong, considering they literally played the Giants to finish out the regular season at home. I mean, that can happen sometimes when you're playing a team twice in a row. It's hard to beat a team twice in a row in back-to-back weeks. But we did see the Bengals do it against the Ravens, and we also saw it with the Eagles against the Giants here. So they have defied the odds a bit there. But Eagles down the stretch did lose to the Saints and the Cowboys. Obviously, the Jalen Hurts injury has had an effect on this team down the stretch. They beat the Bears 25-20. Not a very impressive win, but they got it done. So down the stretch, kind of bumpy, but the way they played against the Giants, my confidence in the Eagles really has been restored. But your key points, 49ers 15-4. Brock Purdy continues an incredible run. It's pretty awesome what he's been doing for the 49ers in this offseason. I mean, 49ers, it's going to be a really interesting situation when you got Trey Lance, the young quarterback who has been said to be on the rise, even though we really haven't seen him be a huge standout yet. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, the experienced quarterback, and I'm assuming Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be out of there this offseason. And you got Brock Purdy. I mean, he's a quarterback. It's going to be an interesting situation with Trey Lance and Brock Purdy in particular. But, I mean, for this game, I mean, Brock Purdy he's proven time and time again. I mean, the first two games in the postseason for the 49ers have been just fine. Brock Purdy's been playing well. I mean, he's been handling it extremely well, considering, like, he is a young quarterback. He is extremely inexperienced in the NFL, and considering all that, he has played extremely well. But, I mean, this is a brutal and complete team across the board. The 49ers defensively, I mean, you saw that against the Cowboys. This team, they just are able to, I mean, they can contain you defensively so well, and they make it look easy. I mean, look at Dak Prescott and this team against the 49ers in the divisional round. It was brutal for them. They couldn't get anything going, and they scored 12 points, but they just couldn't score touchdowns in the red zone. It was a tough go for Dallas. But for the Philadelphia Eagles, this team at their best is a brutal team to beat. We really saw them, I think, at their best against the Giants, and if they can play that way in this game, I mean, they might be impossible to beat. But forcing turnovers will be crucial for Philadelphia here. Going up against a brutal defense, it's going to be tough to score a whole lot of points. So I do think forcing turnovers will be crucial here and they do have a strong home field advantage as well. There's no denying that, as Philadelphia is a brutal place to play. But that said, let's get the prediction here for the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles coming up here in the NFC Championship game. Both conference championships were just brutal to predict, but in the end, I'm going to go with the Eagles to win this game. 27-23 is my predicted final score. I mean, it's really tough for me to go against the 49ers because this is a team that always plays really well in the playoffs. We've seen that in the past few years. I mean, this team is, there's like a stat, I think they've been in the NFC Championship game. They've been in the NFC Championship game 3 times recently. I mean, they were obviously in the Super Bowl back in the, that was the 2019-2020 season. So, I mean, this team, they're an outstanding football team, and they know how to play well in the playoffs. But in the end, I just think Philadelphia, the way they played against the Giants, I mean, if that game was a bit closer, I actually probably would take the 49ers here. But I do think, I mean, it does concern me a bit, Brock Purdy. I mean, he's played outstanding down the stretch. He's really shown that he can handle high-pressure situations well. But this is an NFC Championship game now. You've made it to the Conference Championship. I feel like we're due for a game where Brock Purdy makes 1 or 2 mistakes that really alter how the game results. And I feel like in the end, might be an interception or 2. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with the Eagles to win this game 27-23. It's going to be close. Could easily go either way. But I am more confident in Philadelphia to pull out this win in the end. But in the end, yeah, I'm going to say 55% towards the Eagles. Over-under is 45.5. I'll be taking the over and Philadelphia to cover the spread in the end. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. And I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.